We're back to our bread and butter, our more usual setup at the Out of the Box podcast. The last few episodes have been kind of different themes we've been going through. I covered our conference in America and then how we got set up in the claw machine. Now I'm just going to go back to what I've been doing the last few weeks, what we've been doing internally. Being back in office is great. The ideas and kind of the progress you can make together as a team when you're all in person is so much greater than what you can do if it's remote. And it really re-energized me, because for those 3 weeks whilst I was away, I was by myself. And that was tough compared to, now you're in office with 10, 15 people. So yeah, we're heading into the World Cup, and really we've got our offer refined for that months ago, and everything was planned ages ago. So that's nice. We're focusing really on diversification of revenue streams, and that was really influenced a little bit by what we set out at the start of the year and the goals we set, but also by the conference. A lot of the talk off of that conference was about, or not a lot of talk off that conference, but there was one talk that talked about like Snapchat and different advertising platforms. And that made me aware of potentially like a concentration risk that we have, that we're so heavily reliant on Meta paid advertisement. When we talk about paid advertisement as a whole, we're very reliant on Meta. As of a percentage, it's above 90%. So really we want to look at how can we build on more platforms, and so Snapchat, TikTok, other Google, YouTube. And so that's kind of a process we've been slowly moving to over the last couple of months. And again, we've started now advertising on these platforms, and it will be using tools. The one we're going to be using is Northbeam, but there's other tools out there like Triple Wheel, other incrementality tools. And essentially we're going to try and see which platforms are actually incremental and which aren't for our budgets. So that'll be interesting, and really it takes like 30 to 90 days to build up enough of a data set to tell us what's delivering and what's not. But I'm hoping that we can achieve some sort of diversification of spend. Touching on that, as we're trying to kind of bring sales in through different avenues, Dermot started this week as our SEO / AEO / pay-per-click focus role. So Dermot's background is he's just finished university, so graduate, and I think he finished the week before he joined us. Stood out in our hiring process, and so he was a late comer to it. I think we have maybe 400 applicants, and it's a pretty rigorous process, so it's very tough when you're trying to pull out the exact people you want. We came across him, and so he's now joined, and so he's really getting the grips with how can we do SEO and AEO better, because historically it's something we've neglected. Now, we used to have an agency doing it, and that was kind of like a tick box exercise. We need to have somebody focusing on it. I don't really care for it. Let's just get an agency. And it was a cheap enough rate that it was like, well, it doesn't really hurt the P&L too much. But with that becomes like a lack of attention, just because agencies only put a certain amount of hours on the account. And so I don't think we were really making any progress with it. At the start of the year, we did a bit of an audit on Google / YouTube, and we thought we can be spending more on this channel. We could hire someone full time to kind of focus on this. And at the same time, we did an audit on SEO and kind of AEO, and I kind of had a thought where this is potentially, AEO is where the future of this is heading. And so we probably need to make an investment up front in how to improve that. So Dermot's coming in, and he's leading kind of that initiative of driving revenue through those means. And so I'm excited to see how that plays out, because my skill set is nowhere within that. Like, I'm not great at SEO, AEO, nor am I good at YouTube. I've never ran YouTube or pay-per-click. So it'll be interesting to see how he does with it and how, I guess, it evolves for us as a company. I'm hoping it becomes a significant revenue stream. I guess this kind of combines, as I touched on, the diversification of revenue with kind of our organic and a TikTok push. We have Sam on board. He's kind of leading that. And it's now the first time we've really had that role internally, someone focused only on organic content creation. And as we add these kind of different elements, the hope is that the brand grows, but it becomes more resilient. There's less reliance on essentially Meta as an ad platform to build our business. And I guess the claw machines fit within that. I'm going to switch topics completely now. I want to cover how we've started adopting Claude. And I feel like we're maybe a bit late to this trend because a lot of people have been singing its praises for a while. We have been using ClickUp and kind of their AI features because you could move in between every platform. However, I felt it was slowing us down. So basically I just took myself away and started using Claude by myself and seeing what I could get up to, because I think my first instance of using it was, I thought, there's a Shopify MCP, I can't code, I have something I want coded. The developer was offline, so I just tried to set it up and it did it, and it did it really well. Now it took maybe like 30 to 40 minutes, but it saved me from having to learn how to flip and code on Shopify. So from there, that was on Claude Code. I started using projects a little bit and I was happy with what I was getting out. So I started pushing it onto the team a bit more, and now we've built out different projects and people are really having good outputs with it. I think the problem with, and this is with any AI or any new kind of venture, is that you can get distracted. And so if you don't have a measurable output, then you can end up just doing Claude for Claude's sake. So it's making sure that you are benefiting the outcomes and you're very focused on that, and you're not just having fun discovering what's possible. And I think there's two people that win in this, and we can see it in the office dynamics. I think there's those who are native to it because they're young, essentially, and they are really good at it, like the early adopters. And then those with a bit of experience. And now the ones with a bit of experience, I think, are, potentially, you find it hard to do new things. And that's probably just because where you are in your stage of life. But because you have that kind of experience and the taste, as they call it, then you can better implement these systems than someone who doesn't have the experience. So once these people get up and running, then, that you can get really good outputs. So yeah, I'd say really it takes a willingness to learn and go back to school, which thankfully we already have as an organisation. But I'm excited to see where the future of this leads, and I'm really trying to emphasise to people, like, just be willing to get messy and dive into it, and then also make sure that you have outputs that you can measure as a result, and you're not just doing it because it's a shiny new toy. That's kind of what I've been working on, and I'm going to keep this rolling over the next couple of weeks. I have one guest I'm going to bring on over the next month. I think it's going to be an eternal guest, and we're just going to cover a slightly different side of the business that maybe I normally talk about. But yeah, thanks all for watching, and I'll see you next week.